Mike.
Hello. Let me make sure that a turtle's here. Okay. There we
What are you
go.
looking?
All right. Good morning. Welcome in to another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ.
NASDAQ.
It is the 9th day of October here in 2023. Just a couple months left in the year. We got Happy Days in the chat. We got Nemo. We got Joseph. Huddy, do you get it on your what do you call it? Go on your YouTube and do it. There's no
I,
like
I
button
I don't
for
have
me.
YouTube open when you do this.
I don't see a like button on mine. Huh.
So you can't like it yourself?
Yeah, normally I go to it and make sure everything's working, but when I click on it, I don't see a thumbs up button.
Maybe we broke it.
Do you think?
Clicked it so many times that it disappeared.
This is
Rubbed it off.
Oh, I know why. Because I'm watching it from the wrong account. I got to watch it from my own personal one. There, right? The like button is there. All right. How are we doing, Huddy? How was your weekend?
The weekend was good. We celebrated some birthdays. We watched some footballs. And so we had a good weekend. How was
Another
your
win for
weekend?
the Lions, huh?
Another win for the Lions. Impressive
Detroit.
showing. Mr. Goff.
Detroit.
Can't say
The
the same thing
buzz,
about the Rams.
the buzz in Detroit right now is unlike anything else.
Well, here's the thing about Detroit. When Goff plays at home, he plays great. If he's not at home, he's just average.
Yo,
What up, Kellogg?
how about those 49ers? Holy fuck.
They're no joke. They're no joke.
He says,
I
"Holy
don't know if
effort."
I've seen a team that strong, dude, in a long time. They're just murdering everyone.
Since
Dude,
the
any QB
'84
is
Bears.
some-
Huh?
Since the '84 Bears.
Something like that.
Yeah, you thought Cowboys and SF would have been a good game, and they didn't even stand a chance.
Nope.
What are you watching this morning, Mr. Kellogg?
I shared my watch list in the room.
I saw it. A lot of these people probably aren't in the room, so maybe
Are we
just some
live?
small hints of what we're looking at. Let's
Are we
see.
live right now?
Let's start with PRZO. Yeah, we're live.
We're live.
Oh, okay.
We start at 8:45 Eastern Standard. PRZO day 2 gapper right now, kind of a fresh daily chart. Why was it gapping Friday? Was it Friday after hours?
Gapped up a little Friday after hours and continued the gap this morning.
Commercial drone flights. Did we talk about this one, Huddy, on Friday?
Yeah, we mentioned kind of this 150 level being significant, and whether it can hold over that level or not would be probably interesting for a long biased equation, and if it rejects, it would be interesting for short bias. That's kind of how we left it on Friday, and here we are today. We failed off that 150 level, created a nice base at a buck throughout the whole day, squeezed all the shorts out into close, and now whoever didn't cover over the weekend is now getting blown through the $2 level. So that's kind of just the progression here.
Yeah, and for me, I drew lines on the chart. Really important to understand key levels of support and resistance, so that way you're not surprised when levels are tougher for stocks to get through than others. Yeah, day 2 here. This is kind of just what I would prefer to see. When we do Good Morning NASDAQ and we have runners or gappers, at least most of them primarily fail, and they go a little bit. They top out and they come back to where they came from, and they gap down and fade the next day, and we never hear from them again for 6 more months. The ones that are really interesting to me are the ones that do hold up, that do go higher, that do go on multi-day runs, because that is what I'm looking for. I would have probably avoid this as day 2. I'm sure Kellogg would probably be more interested in shorting today into all this resistance. on the big gap up over 80%. I would still like to wait for a potential first red day. You know, we are up 80% today, so this is shorting a very green stock, and I think you have to have a larger skill set to do that. For me, in my lowly little surf world, I will let it have another day, maybe go a little higher, and then actually go red before I attack it. But this is starting to look more like a multi-day chart that interests me.
Yeah,
Kellogg?
I think
Huddy?
well, I was just gonna say the one thing that we did say on Friday is that this is a fresh, like a kind of a fresh chart with fresh volume. Whereas if I'm reading this right, and again, there could be layers to this, but it's looking like some kind of stock that IPO'd of some sort in July and has traded no volume, not a whole lot of action ever since. So it's, in my opinion, one of those fresh charts. And again, I don't know what happened before July. I don't know if it was actually an IPO, but if my assumption is correct, then these types of fresh charts with, you know, not a whole lot of overhead or action when it starts trading 100 million shares, like a lot of crazy stuff can happen because again, you don't have a lot of, you know, evidence of what will or will not happen in this kind of scenario. And that's the dangers about, like, you know, all these IPO stocks, or, you know, a lot of them are the ones that get kind of crazy because you don't have all these like history of gap and failures and runs and failures and volume at various levels. It's relatively clean. All the volume that matters is being done in the past 2 days for the most part.
For sure.
Yeah, PRZO definitely pretty extended from 60 cents to now over $2. Um, and it does fit my criteria for a day 2 gap up short. But for me, one thing that I've kind of been noticing on these is they will like give you volatility to kind of take advantage of some type of morning spike to short, and it usually provides a very nice pullback, and then it kind of stabilizes for a while, and then I feel like a lot of these kind of pick the direction midday to late day. It even did it here on Monday where it went up and then stabilized all day and then ripped and continued higher. And I just think that if you are going to take a short on this or you are going to take a long on it, just keep in mind that if it does stabilize for a long time and starts to push in one direction or the other, I would trust that push for the most part, as long as the consolidation or the breakdown isn't right on the top end or bottom end of the range. Because then saying if you're long and it's consolidating at the top end of the range, it's more likely to be a stuff. But if it's consolidating at the bottom end of the range, I think it has a higher chance of continuing higher because it has a lot more traps and people sitting patiently short. So my plan for this one would just be to take advantage of that morning volatility and kind of wrap my morning up, because the only time I really get into trouble shorting these type of moves is when I stick around too long or I take too many trades on it. But it usually always gives some type of decent morning pull. Since the gap up is 75%, there is a lot of excess liquidity up here when the market opens, and people want to sell that. The people want to sell that swung long overnight, and a lot of shorts are already squeezed out. But definitely being cautious because they've already proven to trap a couple times.
Very cool. Yeah, and actually just kind of, I don't know what I was doing middle of the day or Friday. Oh, was that a soup day, Huddy?
Yeah.
Soup day. Okay, yeah.
Whitetail
Yeah.
videos maybe.
No, I don't even think I was in the office because there was that little I was watching. But really impressive $1 area hold all afternoon on that one. Pretty much 95 to $1. Reclaimed it and then had a really nice, strong close. So just noting that in my mind, that is very. That's like the second or third time we've seen that in the last 2 weeks where $1 is really, really important. In this case, it ended up being as well. Already almost 20 million on the day for PRZO. Howdy, any other ticker direction you want to go into? Because the next gapper on the list is AWIN, and that is horrible.
Yeah, I think Jack also mentioned AULT was a gapper this morning. I don't see many gappers myself.
Which one?
AULT, Alt Alliance Inc. It's up from 27 cents to 40. sense. Kind of that cheap price range gapper historically looks like a sell-off chart. Probably some dilution here. And then that's like the only real other gapper that I see. There's a couple oil and gas stocks, I guess, gapping up from what's going on in that area.
What's your take on the market, the overall market news here with the Israel stuff going on? Do you think that we could possibly see oil and gas heat up? Do you think that we could see defense stocks heat up? What is your input on that? Because I feel like you usually have a pretty good read in terms of that stuff.
Yeah, I would think defense stocks could more than oil and gas. I would think defense, some type of war stocks would be more impacted than oil and gas. I'd have to do more research on like that specific area. Again, like I don't know. I think where it becomes convoluted is like if I guess what's the narrative? Iran has helped Hamas in this attack. If that is the case and there are sanctions to be put on Iran and the flow of supply and that messes with the Middle East, and again, like there's so many layers to oil and gas that like I don't know the direct results. But if it does come down to the fact where there are sanctions and stuff like that for a huge oil and gas supplier, then I think, yeah, you're going to have some kind of reaction in the oil and gas sphere. I just don't know if it's positive or negative at this point, right? Like I don't know. Like if we sanction off Iran, does that increase prices? Does that decrease prices? If they can't, do what they want to do with oil and gas, right? So I have to do a little bit more research to really understand the significance of this area relative to, Russia was like, one of the bigger producers, hands down, Russia and Saudi Arabia. I don't know about Iran and Israel, so I have to look into it and see how much of an effect they can have, and if it's positive or negative for the overall supply.
Nice. Market had a pretty big, impressive day Friday. Is that when you said the market bottomed again, Huddy? You said possibly?
Yeah, that was more of a joke one, but just the way that it was selling off 1% on Friday and then it was up 1%, like that kind of swing.
Yeah, was that Friday? That was nuts.
Yeah, that was a crazy swing and kind of like that, panic sell off and then complete reversal and strong indicators all across the board. And again, like October generally, like statistically speaking, if you have like a weak September, it rebounds quite well. That might not be true every year, but that's kind of what I would expect. As far as the oil and gas stocks go, kind of where my eye would be was maybe something like CEI. Something that had big volume the previous week, went on a little bit of a multi-day run, far off from its resistance and a history of really nice runs. Like if you don't want to do the research and it just looks like oil and gas is reacting well as the week progresses, that might be like a one of those charts to watch that has good volume and some structure to it.
Very cool. What are these drone safety companies? I don't quite get what they're doing. What is drone safety? No?
Drone safety?
Yeah. Isn't it just a little helicopter thing? What do you mean drone safety?
Maybe like surveillance.
Is it more of like not being too, what's the word? Intrusive into your privacy? Like safety in that respect? It says like increasing safety and mitigating operational risk. What is the risk of a little frickin' RC car in the air?
Telephone wires.
I guess. They're probably a lot bigger drones.
Yeah, so definitely we'll have to watch what's going on in that area of the world to see if that does have any reaction into small cap land. What you generally do is you think like macro, okay, what's moving markets? What are the overall sentiments? And then you boil it down into niche by niche by niche. And I think we still have time to kind of figure out what effect this is all going to have on small cap, which will be an interesting developing story for me for sure.
Nemo says they do drone bombings and stuff. There must be like giant, like basically planes or helicopters that are just being flown with a remote control then. Okay. So interesting.
Pretty nasty gap down on the markets, obviously, after that news came out, but just an interesting after just a massive first green day in the markets, kind of looked like the CPI bottom, which was almost exactly a year ago on October 13th. So we had that on October 6th. So just interested to kind of see what happens. There was a red day on the markets on the day after that big bottom. So interested to see how how the market develops here going into the end of the week. If we are gonna, have a higher close on the overall markets this week, something like 435-ish on SPY, and that would be pretty significant considering the news. But if we do take out 420 support on the SPY, maybe we'll trend down to 400 in the next couple of weeks.
It's all possible. Everything's on the table right now. Do you think, no matter what, with all of this global news, going into the end of the year, the hotter time, that there's just going to be more small caps in general right now? Just whenever there's like a lot of talks about a lot of different options and things, and there's always going to be constantly news coming out, that we're just going to see a little bit more volume?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's going to be some opportunities rising in the next couple months for sure. Um, we've seen little pockets of opportunity here and there, but the market really feels ready for something bigger. Um, it's been quite quiet since
Oil and
the
gas.
oil and gas, which was the last sector, in terms of, a volatile month or two span in a row. I'm kind of hoping for that. But we really need a big macro catalyst to propel us for that type of consistent opportunity.
Yeah. Looking forward to it, hoping for it. I think it's going to be a good end of the year. Any other tickers you guys want us to mention really quick before we get on out of here? I don't think I saw any. Someone said MTEK, similar theme to PRZO. 21% gapper today.
Oh yeah, I saw that earlier.
Interesting daily chart, 120s. Yeah, not really getting all that much like interest there. 5 million shares just kind of bouncing around in a range. But important in this time to kind of start grabbing ticker names just to be prepared. There's kind of two routes you can go. You can do a bunch of research, go everything that's oil and gas, everything drone safety, everything defense, and just build a big list and just have a watch list ready to go. So that way, you just have that watch list and you go, oh, that stock's up 20% today. Oh, that stock's weirdly getting a little bit more volume. Maybe I'll pay attention to that one. Or you can just kind of sit back, do the Good Morning NASDAQ type of thing every night, go through your scanners. You can filter by sector and industry and just continually start to build watch lists for any potential movement in a big picture theme. But for me, the main idea really with this is just to treat it the same way I do as the market, which is finding big picture setups with good daily charts that are going through patterns that make a lot of sense to me. I'm not really trying to front run any news or predict which ones are going to go. I'm going to sit back, wait for the initial runs, and then try to tag team that momentum, either to the upside or the downside, once I know we have a mover on our hands.
Yeah, I definitely think that was a lot of pretty big mistake of a lot of me and a lot of Clovers and fellow traders I know about the weed sector. A lot of people were kind of predicting that second leg to come, which seemed inevitable with the date coming up and the stock topping topped about 15 days before the vote for Congress, which we've seen a lot of times the sector run into that vote, but we started fading a lot earlier than that. So a lot of us took some losses on that weed sector. So moving forward, definitely looking for the sector to really prove itself and trade those patterns, not get away from it.
And there's already thoughts in my mind. INDO was a big runner for oil and gas. That's gapping up today, 12%. IMPP up 5%. What, like HUSA up 10%. Those are all stocks that immediately come to my mind. Just same way like when there's news about marijuana being legalized federally or something, like I have a list in my head of 20, 30, 40 tickers that I can just run through and see if any of them are moving. But at the end of the day, with a lot of the way these charts look, even CEI, that, whatchamacallit, how you brought up, like everything is bag holder city. So I'd rather sit back, wait for a stock to run, show me that it can do volume, show me that it has the interest of short sellers and the eyes of retail. And then, you know, the main kicker here is that usually there are multiple waves to any real sector run. So there's no point. I mean, there's no need for me to be a part of the first one if it's likely there's going to be some sort of continuation down the road or sympathy. So I'll still continue to try to do that and wait for the best opportunity, because at the end of the day, those are the ones where I'll make my most money once I have real conviction that they are the leaders, they are the sympathy to the leaders in a real hot sector.
Yeah, kind of interesting for me, like just kind of doing some more research into, I don't even really know what PRZO is, and it's going to be probably on my to-do list today to find out what exactly it is that people are trading. I haven't touched it yet. But just like going off of FinViz and looking at the industry, it's aerospace and defense, and it's located out of Israel. And AULT, which is one of the other gappers this morning, is aerospace and defense located out of USA. So kind of a theme extending from last week that I will continue to, like, more than the oil and gas, like I'm looking for where the volume is, right? And then if the volume is in the oil and gas, I want to understand that more and understand like what are the, extenuating circumstances to the supply of oil and gas. But for right now, it seems like aerospace and defense, Israeli defense type of stock was hot on Friday. So that's what I would kind of see for this week going forward, to see if there are any charts in that space that I like, and or if any of them start getting volume. That might be main focus for me as the week develops, right? Monday morning, I'm going to sit back and allow, the chessboard to be kind of laid out, and then try to play checkers while everyone else is playing chess.
So, yeah. What's your guys' take on seeing CEI run last week, seeing PRZO run on Friday? The war news wasn't really out, was it yet? Late last week? I thought it came out kind of this weekend. So just interesting that these stocks were able to run before the news came out. Doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I thought, as I'm looking at PRZO, and even when I saw it in our chat room, someone like kind of referenced it to what's going on. I was like, I feel like that happened like Friday night during Shabbat, and maybe it's just a time thing, because I know they attacked specifically during Shabbat to like really like hurt, the religious people while they're celebrating. Like it was all kind of planned that way. It's absolutely disgusting. And I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, if that's Shabbat dinner, that's probably market hours for us, in terms of like when the attack actually happened and when the market maybe felt the reaction. But I'm not sure. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I thought the market closed and then the attack happened, or that's when I started to hear about it. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily exactly how it went down. As far as the oil and gas stocks, they have been uptrending for like 2 weeks. I've had an eye on them. Even Exxon was threatening a breakout over the 120 level. I've been looking at INPP and HUSA and ENSV, and they've been uptrending for quite some time, regardless of today's gap up. So I think the sector alone was just kind of lukewarm, and this is like now people just kind of getting involved for XYZ reason.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add there, but definitely one to keep an eye on this week. We'll see. I don't have high hopes anymore for any sectors.
Like, CEI was Thursday, like
yes, no. Wednesday too,
yeah,
technically.
It's had its first green day on what? Like the Wednesday. Little volume off 20 cents. That was on 10-4. And I feel like definitely there was nothing going on then. It's just
definitely nothing going on then. Like
it's
just another lucky day for CEI.
A lucky day for CEI to randomly run.
So they can split again. Okay. All right. Well, that is 9:10 this morning. Everyone, W's in the chat for Mr. Kellogg for joining us right here in Good Morning NASDAQ. We always love having him on, giving his opinion, sharing his wisdom with the people for free. We're here every single morning, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, myself and Mr. Huddy. If you want more of us, though, and you enjoy what you see and you want to go more in-depth with video lessons and webinars and question and answers with us, there's a link in the description for a 7-day trial for $7. We get access to everything, and then you get to make a decision if you want to stay. We also, it's the three of us, as well as Kyle Williams, holding it down over there in the Clover chat. If you have any questions on that, reach out to Clover support, and they'll make sure to get you straightened up. Anything else, my friends?
That's it. Hope to see a lot of you guys in the room. Going to be an interesting week, that's for sure. So if you're feeling a little bit lost, definitely give that free trial a test, because we'll definitely help you guys out, focusing on the right patterns, the right stocks. And yeah, we'll see you guys on Wine Wednesday and the pre-market prep on Wednesday from myself.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you right here on the Clover Trade YouTube channel tomorrow morning.